Morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. We are live from Las Vegas. Good morning, good morning, good morning to everybody. We are officially starting out the first week of 2026. I'm awake. Boy slept at like 2 a.m. last night, but I am awake. 5:45, well, 5:46, whatever, a.m. We're live. Happy to be here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Got a lot to talk about today. We had the Future Show last night. We talked a lot about the markets, or at least a preview of the markets, and obviously the events that happened over the weekend, in particular with Venezuela. And so we'll talk more about that today. This is the official beginning to 2026. I know we started off on Friday, but I don't think Friday really was the start to the year, to be honest, although it was a pretty green start to the year in terms of semis and high beta. But we're back to the official start of the year, and it's green. We've got a relatively strong green pre-market. Anytime Nvidia is up 1.5% in the pre-markets, Nvidia will also have their event today. I'm in Las Vegas for CES and will be present at that event. I will get to see Jensen live in person and probably fangirl when I see him, but excited to be there tonight. But we got a lot to talk about. Nvidia right there up 1.5%. You got Bitcoin that broke through 93,000 last night. Bitcoin right now 92. ASML hitting $1,200 in the pre-market. That's up 3%. Micron was, I think, up 3% last night. It is now up 2.4%, 323, hit 328. I mean, you've got a pretty green market after one of the, I guess, most important geopolitical events that has happened over the past 20 years happened over the weekend, which, again, I talked a lot about it last night on the Future stream, showed a lot of different perspectives, so we're not going to go as in-depth as we went last night. But obviously, the United States taking away the dictator from Venezuela, indicting him, bringing him back to the United States. He was transported to New York this morning where he is going to be in jail. It is kind of crazy. And I woke up Saturday at 4:50 a.m. or 4:40 a.m.-ish. I posted at 4:45. Like, I woke up right when the news broke, and it was crazy to experience that over the weekend. And I've had a lot of time to try to study and become a little bit of a Venezuelan geopolitical expert. Not really, but try to get a decent understanding of it. And it's quite incredible, the different ramifications it's going to have across the entire world. Obviously, the oil companies love it right now, and the market loves it. Exxon, which Exxon's not a company that moves like this. That's up 3% in the pre-market. Chevron was up almost 20% last night. It's up 6% today. Again, these stocks are barely up 3-4% for the year, to be honest. They're steady compounders for the dividends. So the fact that they are seeing the massive opportunity in terms of being able to go to Venezuela, capture billions of dollars of oil, obviously that is something that's being reflected today. And then in general, if oil prices go down, what does that mean for the economy? I think there's a lot of stuff to analyze, a lot to get into. And so we're going to be discussing that throughout the entire day. So happy to be here. Let me just say right now, I will not be having a market open today and tomorrow. Literally today at the market, or sorry, market close. The market close, Jensen's talking like 15 minutes before the market close, which is usually when I start. And so it will be live. So you'll be able to see Jensen live at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So we won't have a market close today, probably not a market close tomorrow, but I think starting Wednesday, we should be fine for the market close. And so it should be fun, should be exciting. I'm happy to be here. Hopefully I see some of you guys here throughout Vegas. CES is like across 12 different hotels. And so there is a decent chunk of foot traffic here, but I think it's because of CES. I was talking to some cab drivers last night, and they said that foot traffic was down a lot in the summer. And so, maybe it's packed only because of CES, but at least it's some events that's keeping Vegas alive. And we'll be trying to analyze what's going on throughout the entire economy all week, as I try to also see the new technology that's produced this week. I think Lisa Sue's also going to have a keynote at 6:30, which is 3:30 my time. So it's going to be a lot of good content this week just across the world in technology, and hopefully we see some more implications of what I think the theme of CES unofficially is, which is physical AI. CBS 60 Minutes did a whole piece on humanoid robotics last night. Now, they've done pieces on it before, but I think that's the core thing that people are focusing on this year. So I think Nvidia is going to be speaking about physical AI as well, and hopefully they say some interesting stuff, because that's going to be definitely a catalyst to get this market going into 2026. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's start off with Mr. Tom Lee. He's back. First appearance of 2026. Here's what he's got to say for the year, and then we'll get into all the different macro headlines and obviously Venezuela talk before we get into the market open today.
Joy, depression, and rally, right? I think just like last year, 2025, we had a terrible start. People got very gloomy. Then we had a nice rally to finish the
You
year.
mean April was the peak
April was the low.
of the Liberation Day. Yeah.
So I think because, the market will test the new Fed, that probably is the reason we have some fear this year. But there's a lot of things to be optimistic about. The tariffs are anniversarying, the Fed is cutting, and, the ISM could finally turn back above 50, and that's good news. And, we are pretty optimistic about some groups that have lagged, like energy is one of our top sector picks this year.
With the Mag 7.
And the Mag 7 should still keep producing good earnings growth. And then the financials and small caps. So it's like a lot of things that could go right in the market.
The 7,700, so do we get a 10% gain in earnings and the multiple stays where it is? Is that your thesis, basically?
I think earnings will do even better.
And the multiple comes down.
Yeah, so it's because other sectors are re-rating, but the Mag 7 might just track their earnings growth. So that'll pull the overall PE down.
You're, once again, not only are you telling us we're going to be up, you're even telling us when it's going to go down, when it's going to go up. You got a number, 7,700. You're back on the horse of predicting Bitcoin, even though it didn't work out last year.
It did not.
Your numbers were not hit. And, it's like, no, I would not say that you're a terrible financial advisor based on trying to predict Bitcoin. I don't know who could do that. So I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire. But as I said, you're getting right back on the horse. 250,000?
Yeah, you can bleep me out too if I just say the number.
Yeah, that'd be good for you. We don't care. I'm trying to protect you. 250.
I feel like if Bitcoin actually does 250 this year, all is forgiven. But again, it's just putting a lot of pressure on yourself. And, he's used to pressure as an analyst that has price targets. It's just this one is some heavy pressure because it didn't happen last year. And I think 200 was the target last year. So now 250, it's got to make that move. But I guess capturing a dictator over the weekend is what finally got Bitcoin to move up 2%.
Yeah.
Not $250, which some people still have as a forecast.
So, in 2026, if Bitcoin gets to 200 or 250,000, it would be breaking the 4-year cycle. So that's sort of part of our view is that this, if you follow the 4-year cycle, Bitcoin should be down this year. But I think that there's tailwinds that are building. And part of it is we kind of reset leverage on October 10th with that big shock.
Right.
And now I think there is still institutional adoption taking place, and Wall Street is still building a lot of products on the blockchain. And then we have U.S. government support. So I think these are tailwinds that help Bitcoin recover this year.
And even though people have pointed out the divergence from gold and silver, you think with gold and silver doing well, eventually Bitcoin benefits from that trade?
Yeah, it does look like gold rallies typically lead Bitcoin rallies. So I think it's been healthy for gold to rally. Part of it's, dollar debasement. And now with monetary easing, those are things that are supportive of crypto to follow. And as you know, crypto adoption rates are still quite low. So crypto has sort of an exponential growth opportunity because the adoption is increasing.
You even think that an improving ISM is bullish for crypto?
It is. For whatever hard to explain reason, we found that copper to gold price ratio, when that rises, that coincides with Bitcoin rallying. And we also found that the ISM, as it moves from below 50 to its peak, has coincided with Bitcoin entering its sort of rally stage. So
you don't know why, you just have noticed that it happens.
Yeah.
Do you have a forecast for oil? I mean, I think the oil movement last year confounded a lot of people. Now you've got Venezuela on top of this. How do you figure that out?
Yeah, it has been sort of surprising how badly oil's done. I know our technician, Mark Newton, thinks oil could actually see something like 40 early this year, but that won't necessarily hurt the stocks because I think the equities have been lagging for so long. I mean, if you look at
the big majors, you mean?
Yeah, so the majors should do well. So I think energy stocks are going to start discounting higher oil even as oil gets to 40.
The move that we saw, the broadening of the market into even small caps and I don't Russell, does that continue? Is that necessary? I think it seems healthy if that were to happen.
Yeah, I think it's healthy and it's important. The small caps made an all-time high last year, which is great because that's been a long time coming. And lower interest rates helps them, monetary easing. Earnings growth is starting to look better. And if we have mergers, I think all of these are tailwinds for small caps. And of course, small caps should have been tracking EM stocks. EM did really well last year. Small caps are just finally catching up.
All right, so you got your thoughts from Mr. Tom Lee, kind of the same core arguments that he made last year, nothing changing too much. Very bullish on Bitcoin, 250,000, which obviously would be incredible if we get that. And then this kind of market that, as he mentioned, is going to have depression and excitement in terms of this big 20% drawdown that he's calling for, which would put us at, what is it, like 570, 575 on the S&P. And then this massive 40% rally from those 20% drawdowns that get us to 7,700. Maybe that happens, maybe that doesn't. But I do think it's way too early to call a trend for the year. I mean, again, last Friday was weird, guys. We had everything pump, then everything dumped except semis. Then high beta joined the party, your Oklos, BEs of the world, etc. And the day ended with semis up like massively. SMH was up 4%. And then you had all the high beta stocks that are up. And then SMH right here up 2% in the pre-markets. Then based on the events that happened over the weekend, which we'll talk about with Venezuela, that created a massive catalyst that I think some people thought was bearish originally because like we just rolled up into another country and took their leader. But then you started seeing a lot of people from the Venezuelan side support it. That's what we talked about yesterday on the Future Show. Again, not going to go into all the different perspectives of it today, but we saw a lot of people not necessarily condemning it. You had a lot of European allies like France that agreed it was the right move. And you started to get the volatility that we thought would spike kind of calm down as the market realized this is not a war. This is not something that's going to be going on for a long time in terms of fighting back and forth. Now it's a regime change, which means quite frankly, it's probably going to last many years. And there's going to be a lot of implications of this if Russia and China want to respond to this in some type of way. I mean, there's so many unknowns about it, but the immediate hostility in terms of the reaction has not been there. And obviously you're seeing with a pretty green pre-market, Amazon's up 0.5%, Nike's up 1/3%. Palantir, which I think based on some of the research I did over the weekend, absolutely was involved. Maven seems very obviously involved here. That's up 3% after losing 6% on Friday. And that's also weird because Palantir's high beta growth. Why was Palantir down on Friday? Like it was just a very weird day for the market to be open in terms of the price action. So I think this week will hopefully set up a little bit of a trend, hopefully to the upside, and we'll see how it plays out. But the biggest impact right here, S&P 500 up 0.35, is that now theoretically we could get lower oil prices. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. It might not even happen for the coming months, if not years, unless we have the infrastructure to get that oil out of Venezuela and meaningfully flood it into the markets. But the even perception of that is getting the market to be excited. And, no oil or lower oil obviously leads to less prices. Less prices is good for the broader economy. So we're going to see. We got a bunch of different headlines to talk about, but it is weird to start off 2026 in this way, to say the least. Remember, the S&P 500 is trading at its highest PE ever at 26. We're trading at our highest price of sales ever at 3.3. So I think part of the reason everyone is so worried is because it's like, well, wait a second, we are trading at aggressive levels. Do we have the momentum to back up those levels? And then you have someone like Jeffries that comes out today and says, Amazon, $300, it's cheap. Google, $365. They're going to monetize AI. Meta, $910. We think they're going to do $33 of EPS. And so you have the investment bank saying, yeah, everything's expensive, but like if the multiples are reasonable enough to at least be supported by earnings and earnings that are growing, then the multiples should be growing. And even if oil prices come down or go up, it shouldn't necessarily affect the biggest companies in the world, which is why the Mag 7 technically should survive. But you did have a lot of high beta last week that just started moving higher. And I wonder, can that trend continue? Can your quantum, nuclear, drone stocks, are they all just continue green? Your space stocks are down a little bit right here in the pre-markets. ASTS down 1.6%. And then Rocket Lab down 1.3%. But I think this is going to be the story of the week to kind of see how it ends up playing out. All right, so let's talk about what happened in Venezuela over the weekend. Again, it was an absolutely crazy event. I did not expect to wake up to it. I think a lot of people did not expect to wake up to that happening. This was, I think, the most important part of what Trump said over the weekend, and what a lot of people are now wondering what it means for the future of American democracy / American exceptionalism? Doesn't mean we're going to just start running countries across the world.
We are going to run the country until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
I think the explicit nature of this is what makes it so wild. There's like no small talk. There's no sugar-coated language or vernacular. It's just like, hey, yeah, we're running the country. Like, it's ours now. And it's kind of wild because, I mean, we're like going into a sovereign nation and taking out a dictator. But then the nuance of it is the idea that narco-terrorism is high. He's been indicted since 2020. He's not been recognized, Maduro, that I'm talking about, over the past couple of years by pretty much anyone except Russia and China as a legitimate leader. He overwhelmingly lost the election back in 2024. He rigged the Supreme Court to stay in power. If you've listened to any Venezuelan media over the past weekend, I'm sure there's perspectives that are against what the United States did, but there's a lot of perspectives that at least I'm coming across that are so happy that someone finally took action after 25 years. You know, the Biden administration was not happy about Maduro. Trump 1.0 was not happy about him, but a lot of it was just, well, you know, we hope for the best. We stand with the Venezuelan people. And this is where an action was actually taken. A very specific special ops act was conducted. And it wasn't just we stand with the Venezuelan people anymore. It's like, no, we're going to do something about it. And based on the perspectives I'm seeing over the weekend, the Venezuelan people have been at least feeling there's a chance at a better form of liberation, especially Venezuelan people who left Venezuela and came to the United States that has family back there. They are feeling a sense of optimism and hope. Now, that has to be coupled with the fact that, wait a second, power regime change is not something that's easy to do. Libya, Syria, Iraq, this stuff didn't work out. It worked out for the first couple of months when everyone was happy, everyone felt there was hope, optimism, and then when you actually try to engage in instilling a more democratic nation or a judicial process, it's not easy. This is what makes America so special. I mean, like the fact that we actually have been able to maintain these freedoms over 250 years and build upon them. It's not easy to install that just in a country out of willy-nilly. So that is, I think that is one of the perspectives that I think is going to change a lot of the dynamic on how this is discussed in the media. Nvidia right there, 192 up 1.77%. The second question here is going to be, all right, what does this mean for the market? And I think the broader implication for the market is that, wait a second, if we have just captured what now amounts to about $10 trillion of oil in Venezuela, they have around 600,000 Bitcoin, it was seen over the weekend, and they have 122 metric tons of gold. And that is now in authority of the United States, which, again, theoretically should be for a certain amount of time. It's not like we should just take all of it. I don't think they're becoming the 51st state. But all of that seems like a net positive for the United States' perception in controlling the region, especially in terms of American oil companies coming in and getting oil. I think a lot of people thought the oil companies would open down over the future session last night, and they actually opened up because the market's like, well, no, they have a massive in the next 6 to 7 weeks. I did not do that on purpose, but the next 6 to 8 weeks, we need to leave this meme in 2025 so we can move on. I can just speak freely about this. But over the next probably couple months, you're going to see these oil companies get into the nation and take advantage of this. And if they do, that's going to be a massive opportunity for oil prices coming down, but also those companies in terms of their ability to monopolize those profits. On top of that, you've got this massive affordability issue going on. And if you have lower oil prices across the entire country, lower airline prices, data center energy costs should theoretically come down because a lot of that's being essentially structured either through the electric grid or through oil. Every single product you and I buy has an input cost or directly external cost, even if it's not intrinsically involved with oil. There's oil involved in some capacity towards it. And so if the price of that goes down, that should be bullish for the broader market. So I understand why we're green right here. I also don't fully trust it. And I think a lot of people probably don't fully trust this green right now. You probably want to see some more action. You want to see some more volume come in. The bond markets were closed for a couple of days last week. So I think we'll get some actual bond movement. Japanese 10-year bond hit its highest level in 40 years again last night. The US 10-year, this thing cannot go down from 4.1. Right now it's at 4.18. So I think there's a lot more we have to see before we say this is something that is going to be a positive development. But we got people in the chat right here like Maritza that says Cubans and Venezuelans will never be socialists, so we will be pro-markets and capitalism. that was a decent chunk of the perspective I heard over the weekend. Just a lot of people from those places admitting that, this is a good thing. And this was something that they deeply wanted to see happen. I played this last night, but here's a clip of Maria Atencio. She's one of the local journalists at Venezuela, and here's what she had to say about why it was a good thing for this ultimately to play out.
We absolutely need to reframe here. And I am certain that every Venezuelan will support what I'm about to say. This is not blood for oil, and this is not about regime change. We voted these people out legitimately last year. We voted for Maria Corina Machado and her running mate, Edmundo González Urrutia, and Nicolás Maduro stole the election, didn't have proof for it, so he's essentially a dictator. For 25 years, he has been torturing, imprisoning people, leading to the largest refugee crisis practically in the world, definitely in our hemisphere. 8 million Venezuelans have left, which has provoked refugee crisis and immigration crises all over the Americas, including in the United States. This provoked a humanitarian crisis where in a country with so many barrels of oil, you didn't even have medicine or food. And if I may, I know it firsthand because I lost my father during that humanitarian crisis because of the lack of medicine. So this is a catastrophe that is happening, a 2.5-hour flight from Miami in our hemisphere, continuous human rights abuses that is also, by the way, spreading influence to places like Colombia, like Mexico, like Peru, and destabilizing the entire region. So
you're getting perspectives from some of these Venezuelan journalists that is like, hey, we've been waiting for this to happen. It's finally happening, and we should be excited for it happening. Yeah, Trump last night mentioned that, and this is the part where I don't necessarily know if it's a good thing or not, because, I mean, this was a very special operation. You got the job done 5 hours after the Chinese consulate came into Venezuela to negotiate. I mean, could you imagine if a Chinese official was killed? Like, a lot of things could have gone wrong here. Last night, Trump was saying, hey, Greenland, that's a national security issue. Cuba, that's a national security issue. Colombia, that's become a national, I mean, like, I don't know if bro is going for that part of his legacy where he just starts colonizing all these other countries. But if that's what we're doing, I think it's going to be I don't know how the rest of the world is necessarily going to interpret that, especially because I don't know how China doesn't say, oh, if the U.S. can just go and take a president from his home and inside of a sovereign nation, like Taiwan is ours again. It gets very, very scary to think of the implications of this. But ultimately, I think the next few months are going to be very important to see how the data plays out. Now, China and Russia also cared about Venezuela because of oil. I really doubt China and Russia believed in the sovereignty of the Venezuelan people or anything like that. Like, no, there's a lot of oil there, a lot of oil that because of infrastructure, I think they're putting out 900,000 barrels a day. They could be putting up like 5 million. That would dramatically change the dynamics of the oil market. And so part of the reason they wanted to establish good relations is because they wanted Maduro to give them cheap oil. It looks like that might not be happening from Maduro anymore. That's going to be happening from the United States, which would still be good for oil costs. It just might not be the way the Chinese and Russian wanted that to play out. And so I think that there's just a lot more implications than we can imagine right now. And I guess on the first day, the market is okay with how this is played out. Again, the market has no moral or ethical conundrum with what happens. It's just, hey, math, what happens because of this, because of that. And it makes a reaction. And it seems like that's the reaction to the upside that the market is having right now. Kyle, thank you for becoming a channel member. Triple V, thank you for the $200 super chat. Appreciate you being here. I will be seeing Mr. Triple V here in CES this week. He's got to teach me how to gamble because I lost $500 in the quickest way you could possibly lose $500 last night. It wasn't my night, obviously. First of all, I wasn't going to gamble. Then I was with some friends. They're like, let's play blackjack. I was like, screw it. Let's play some blackjack. And you think, at 25 a hand, after 16 rounds, you'll win once. No. Like, it really felt like it was rigged. And it wasn't just me. It was 4 of us at a table. We all lost 16 rounds in a row. The most we got is a push a couple times. Like, it was actually kind of ridiculous. And it was like, all right, screw it. It's $500. It's $500, whatever. But, like, to lose $500 that quickly, I would have rather bought a weekly option on a random stock. I feel like it would have had a better probability. Like, goodness gracious. That's why you don't gamble. I'm down 500 for the week. And then I was like, oh, I'll go to roulette. I'll win it back. Why not? My friend was like, pick 24. I was like, all right, I'm going to make a 37x on my 24. And like, I'll just win back all the money. Well, 24 didn't show up. In fact, the zero on those tables, the green zero showed up. I mean, goodness gracious, this city will just drain you in minutes. So hopefully Mr. Triple V can teach me how to gamble a little bit. It was ugly, bro. It was ugly. Not a single hand won. Not a single freaking hand. 16 rounds in a row. Like it was, and I was with a couple people that knew blackjack. Like they're pretty good at it. I was with Stock Talk last night. He's awesome, by the way. I know you guys love him. He's tall as dude. He's like 6'3", but he's so awesome. It was a great time getting dinner with him. And yeah, all the energy that he has on the show and the excitement that he brings you, and he'll be on the show again. I told him how much you guys loved him, but he has the same energy in person. And he's just like, he loves living life. Like, it's rare you find people that just love and embrace the process of living life. And he's been coming to Vegas for the past 10 years. So when he comes, he tries to have fun. But and so he knows blackjack. Like, he's no stranger to blackjack. And he's losing 16 rounds. And he's like, dude, I've never experienced this ever. And yeah, the house always wins. I guess it was a bit ridiculous. It was a bit ridiculous. Speaking of stock top, Amcor right here. Look at that. 45.36. Wow. 5.68%. Again, the semis. This thing looks like it's trying to get back to that 47 high. The semis are not slowing down. I'm still wondering why exactly the semis are pumping this much. Like, I think there's some arguments around memory shortages and obviously the Nvidia Grok deal. And my random top of the head theory is that the fund managers came out and they said, we missed the semi run last year. We're not going to miss it again. Therefore, we're just going to buy up all the semis, including all the memory names. And it's like, okay, maybe that's the reason why everyone's just rushing into semis, because semis did 50%. SMEs did 50%, 3x the S&P. So you kind of had to be in it. There's a headline this morning that Samsung and SK Hynix are reportedly quoting cloud customers like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google Cloud server DRAM prices 60 to 70% above Q4 levels. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that they are starting to have more pricing power as HBM, DRAM, all that stuff becomes more important. That's part of the reason NVIDIA brought Grok to kind of sidestep that. But it is quite incredible that semis are moving in the way that they're moving. And again, I think a lot of these names deserve it. Like in NVIDIA, their multiple probably should be closer to 220. Broadcom got destroyed after earnings. That stock trying to recover now back at 354. But the magnitude of the move on semis, I did not expect to start off the year. And the names that are lagging are SAS. It's almost like SAS is being left for dead. It was down 2% on Friday. IGV, it's up a little bit right here. But your Adobes, your Salesforces, I mean, they are nothing compared to your AMDs and NVIDIA. And the thing is, that was the trade last year. AMD, NVIDIA long, Adobe CRM short. I wonder if that continues to be the trade. Because if it does, that means we've got a lot of momentum in the physical chip hardware space over just the software names. Technically, first real day with the market volumes back as well. Yes, that is also true. Markets are back probably with a lot more volume. And we're already seeing a lot more volume in the pre-markets, which is probably contributing to this. All right, so we're gonna see when the market opens and kind of if this can ultimately continue. Is Nebius up right here? Data center names are up. Nebius is up 4%. Look at that. Data center names loving it. Crypto names loving it, and semiconductor names loving it. I ran right there. That's up 5.6%, and then CoreWeave is up 3.86%. Amit, what's your Insta name? I'll put it in the chat. I am now posting on IG once again. I started posting over the weekend. I don't know what compelled me to start posting on Friday, but I was like, screw it. Let's start posting in 2026. I'm kind of hooked on Instagram again. Like, it really took a few hours for me to remember how addicting this app is. And it honestly makes me want to buy more Meta. It really does. Outside of Meta being undervalued, I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, if you're posting on this app, like, and actively posting, you're not going to leave the app. Like, I haven't been on it for 10 years, but once you're in it, you're in it. So yeah, the goal is to show more behind the scenes of my life. So hopefully it's something that's interesting for a lot of people. And I love connecting with all you guys. And honestly, I love stalking your guys' pages, because like all I see are numbers and profile pictures. But like when I actually see like the human behind the people that are watching, it's really cool. It's kind of creepy that I'm stalking you guys, but it's also really cool. So I get to see the behind the scenes on how you guys live your lives as well. Amidst still a child at heart of using IG. Yeah, pretty much. Dude, it's like addictive. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot this is what it feels like to post on my story and like respond to DMs and stuff. Like, I haven't done it in 10 years, really. I've been focused on X and YouTube, but there's some stuff on, you can't post certain things on X and YouTube. It's just not like the vibe. Whereas IG, I feel like, is just a little bit more easy to kind of post a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I'm on IG. You can follow me there, and I'll be posting behind the scenes of all of the CES Nvidia stuff this week. All right, BitMine. So they bought 32,000 ETH last week. It was the lowest amount of ETH that they bought all week. Obviously, in the past like 4 months of them being in operation, it was the lowest weekly buy. They have 4.1 million ETH. It should get a nice little move in the pre-market as ETH is higher. BMNR right now is up 3.4%, 32.25. And their staking, which they've already started to an extent, is going to be starting in Q1 2026. So, yeah, it does seem like we are going to have more Ethereum momentum from BitMine as they continue to buy, but the buying is slowing down, obviously. And, you know, you got Tom Lee here basically admitting that they are slowing down. He said, we are excited about the prospects of Ethereum in 2026, given the multiple tailwinds of U.S. government support for crypto, Wall Street embracing stablecoins and tokenization, kind of the same stuff he's been talking about. In the final week of 2025, total equity and crypto activity slowed, and we acquired another 32,977 ETH in the past week. Now, when he's saying total equity and crypto activity slowed, and yet we acquired, it doesn't really matter if activity is slowing down. That shouldn't have an implication on how fast they're acquiring. I think that's sort of a code word for, hey, we don't fully think the price is conducive for us right now to be buying, and you know, we're probably going to be getting a better price. I feel like that's what he's implicitly admitting right now, because they have the money. They have $1 billion in cash. It's not like the activity being lower means they can't buy. Like, they can buy as much as they want. They have the money. But I think they're waiting for a better price. And so maybe they're going to wait for some more short-term momentum to the downside. And if that is the case, that'll probably be a juicy opportunity. I think BMNR, the hedging strategy I want to do, it's better if it pumps closer to 35. And I'm being a little greedy here, seeing if it can get there. But who knows? Maybe the geopolitical instability actually move, because nothing has been able to get crypto to move. But we're going to have to see over the coming weeks if that is enough, or if it just fades its entire move and Bitcoin falls back to that 87,000 level. The probability for a rate cut is now 16.1% in January. So yeah, it still doesn't feel like we're getting a rate cut in the high GDP growth. We're going to get PMI today, the jobless claims last week. All of it is pretty obvious that it doesn't feel like we're going to get a rate cut in January, which is not good for Instagram. It's not good for rate cuts. See the stupid, like, this is like, it's not good for the rate cut thesis, but it is good for the broader economy thesis. It probably is good for Instagram, because if people have money and they're going to go out, they're going to spend, they're going to post more on Instagram, and boom, that's good for Instagram. Can you comment on the 50 billion share ceiling vote? I still don't know why they need 50 billion shares, dude. It doesn't make any sense. Like, again, we listened to his video last week about how he said, oh, it's about freaking the splits that we have to authorize. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, worry about the splits when you actually have a price that needs to be split. So I don't know. I think they want to just have the access to dilute shares to that level. I don't know why they need 50 billion of it, but that part of it does not make a lot of sense. And I still have not really received any meaningful answers for why exactly they need to do that. But again, I think it's contingent on the price of ETH, regardless of how many shares are out there, and that's what we have to look for. Mercado Libre, what do we have here? Melly, that's up 1.89%. Rocket Lab's down 1.2%. Then you got Broadcom, that's up 1.82%. BitMine up 3.69%. Let's hear from Kashkari, one of the Fed presidents, see what he has to say for 2026. Again, rate cut probability is not necessarily the highest. Fed's assuming about one rate cut. And then we'll keep going from there. We got 10 minutes until the market opens. The Nvidia event today is at CES. For those that are asking, Jensen is speaking. He's likely going to be speaking about robots and data center acceleration, Vera Rubin, all that stuff. So, I mean, you'll be seeing it live at 1 p.m. Eastern when he talks, or 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So I won't be live for the market close, but if you go on NVIDIA's channel, they'll be streaming it. And, you know, that's probably why NVIDIA's getting a little bit of a pump in the pre-market. If he announces some really good stuff, maybe we see some more momentum on NVIDIA and all the other semi names.
Not hiring very much. So I think that that's a clear signal that the labor market is cooling. At the same time, inflation is still too high. I think the most recent inflation data, I don't take that seriously because there's some issues with the data collection with the shutdown. I think inflation is still too high. And the big question in my mind is, how tight is monetary policy? Over the last couple of years, we kept thinking the economy is going to slow down, and the economy has proven to be far more resilient than I had expected. That tells me, well, monetary policy must not be putting that much downward pressure on the economy. And so my guess is we're pretty close to neutral right now. And we just need to get more data to see which is the bigger force? Is it inflation or is it the labor market? And then we can move from a neutral stance, whatever direction is necessary.
But your gut tells you right now that the labor market is maybe the bigger issue to wrestle with at this point?
Probably. I don't think we're going to be surprised that inflation ends up being much higher than we are seeing right now. I think the inflation risk is one of persistence, that these tariff effects take multiple years to work their way all the way through the system. Whereas I do think there's a risk that the unemployment rate could pop from here.
Well, that's really weird then, Neil, because we've been above 2%, 50% above 2% for 2 years then. The Fed has totally missed that target, and we've just cut 4 or 5 times. So that makes no sense. That then you've moved the goalpost to 3%.
No. I don't think we have moved the goalpost at all. I think the question of the
They absolutely have moved the goalpost. They just don't want to admit it because it reduces legitimacy, but they absolutely have. By the way, Tim Walz just came out and said he is not running again for re-election in Minnesota. That broke 10 minutes ago. Tim Walz drops out of 2026 gubernatorial race. Wow. This guy's been part of Minnesota for a long time. Looks like he's not running again starting in 2026.
debate that we've been having at the committee is, we know that tariffs affect goods import prices. Do you count that as a one-time effect, or do you think it leads to something more persistent? That's the debate that we've been
Right,
having.
but the persistent inflation hasn't really had anything to do. It was already persistent long before the tariffs.
Because of the COVID effects. I agree with you, Joe. I mean, that's why it's not. Some people say it's so obvious we should be ignoring tariff inflation. Inflation's on its way back down, and just be cutting dramatically to support the labor market. I'm not there either.
But if 2 was really your target, you wouldn't have cut it all.
Well, we have two sides of our mandate, right? Inflation is slowly trending down. The unemployment rate has gone from 3.6 to 4.6.
Right.
So we're moving in the wrong direction on the labor market. We're slowly moving in the right
I mean,
direction.
I'm just devil's advocate. I wish rates were zero. I wish you.
Again, the Fed, dude, like these Fed officials try to act like they know what's happening. They really don't, because inflation, the target cannot be 2% anymore. I mean, maybe we get it down to 2% if Elon's theory is right about AI being so deflationary, which I do think there's a good chance it is going to be right. By the way, Elon had dinner with Trump over the weekend. So if you've got a grudge with someone, if these guys can make up, I feel like you can make up with the person you have a grudge with. But if Elon's theory is right, then yes, inflation is going to come down dramatically. The question is going to be at what cost, and the cost might end up being the labor market and a decrease of jobs, which would decrease spending. But obviously the Fed, it's been 4 years. They haven't hit their target. And they haven't hit their target for a variety of reasons, but they probably don't even care about it. I mean, otherwise, they wouldn't have cut rates. But they obviously think the labor market matters more. So there's Elon with Trump a couple nights ago. Trump said that Elon is 80% genius and 20% makes mistakes when he was talking on Air Force One last night. So it seems like the relationship is back to being a little bit better. Here are the best performing ETFs to start off the year. This is going to surprise a lot of people because there's an ETF here that you probably haven't heard of, but I didn't hear of it until I saw this statistic either. But nonetheless, it is what it is. And this is why I'm saying the start to 2026 is weird, bro. It's just weird. The best performing ETFs to start off the year, number 1 is from Bloomberg, is TXXD. Let me ask, does anyone know what TXXD is? Put it real quick in the chat. Don't Google it. Let's see if anyone knows what TXXD is. Because I didn't. Nebius, by the way, she's moving 5.4%, 94.50 pre-markets, getting some love. Okay, TXXD is double leveraged Dogecoin. That is the number 1 ETF to start off the year. I don't get it either. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but nonetheless, that's what we get. It is a little weird for 2026 to start off like that. But I guess double leverage Dogecoin is enough to be the I didn't even know there was a double leverage Dogecoin, to be honest. I thought you had to like use crypto products to go leverage on Dogecoin, but apparently there's a institutional product for that. So again, I like the green. I don't think the green is necessarily happening in the places that it theoretically needs to happen for it to be broadly supported, aka a lot of high beta. Now the semis make sense, but the semis are ultimately kind of being treated as high beta, which is scaring me a little bit because they shouldn't, because they have legitimate earnings. But it's just a little confusing. And I think that means you give it a week to see what the price action looks like. And are we going super risk on? Is this Venezuela thing like, hey, like oil prices got like, this is like, all right, you start loading up, this is the time to not be too afraid of what's happening? Or is it hyping you up ultimately to take it back down? Again, multiples already across a lot of big names like a Meta, Amazon, etc., are depressed. So those are thankfully not the ones to worry about. The question is the other ones that, might be getting a bid like a Dogecoin that might not need to get a bid. Now, granted, if Bitcoin's pumping, everything's going to pump in the altcoin section. So it makes sense why Dogecoin is up. Amazon right there up 0.64%. Amazon got another $300 target this morning. Nvidia got a $350 target by Melius Research as well. So once again, you're getting some more momentum right there. Mark Mahaney said 335 on Amazon. He wrote a long note and basically said that operating income will be up. Agentic commerce will be up. Shopping advice, which will be part of their LLM infrastructure, will be up in terms of Rufus. Ads are going very well. AWS is expanding. Like every single bullish catalyst you could imagine for Amazon is there. It is kind of making me a little bit worried that this trade is becoming so obvious and everyone's piling into it. Like I think Steve in his community NCAA tournament, I think Amazon won and it actually beat out Nvidia, if I'm not wrong. The same company still made the Final Four though, Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon, but Amazon won. So people have some high expectations on this one. And I feel like Bezos will disappoint us. Every $5 up, he'll take profits, but hopefully we can move above it. Nebius getting a move right there. I don't think there's news. I think the data center names are just catching a bid. We got 2 minutes until the market opens. Got Iran right there up 5.3%. I need to make $500 today. I need to revenge trade my way into making what I lost from blackjack. So just to feel good about life, I need to make my $500 back. So we'll see what we can do today. Yeah, the rare earth companies are moving. It's interesting. Dude, Steve is telling me to get into craps, like really get into it. I don't understand this game. It looks fun though, but I have no idea what is going on in craps. So at some time this week, I will try to understand. Amidst chasing them losses, true degen. That's the problem with Vegas. It's like you have to have a set budget on what you're ready to lose and just count it as an expense for like the joy of being here versus actually trying to be up on the night. Because that shit will put you in a hole. But we'll see. Maybe the market gives me an opportunity today. All right, here we go. 45 seconds. I'm in a hotel, which means I cannot go crazy with this bell, but I do have an alternative here. So we will get a bell this morning. It's not going to be a massive, massive bell, but the show must go on every single day. You know, the one thing I love about being on the West Coast, I'm going to be done with the show and it'll be like 8:30, which is going to be crazy. It'll be 8 a.m. and like I'll have the entire day left, which is the best part about being on the West Coast. But it also means you got to wake up super early. So excited to be here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is the first official week of 2026. Let's get into it. Monday, January 5th, 9:30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now open. All right, wake your ass up. Let's get into it. S&P 500, 686.50. That's up 0.5%. And we're green. Nebius 4%, Mercado 2%, Bitmine 3%, Meta goes green, Iren's up 4%, IGV's up 0.5%, Amcor up 7.6%. Stop calling it a Tinkerbell. It was not a Tinkerbell. It was a professional bell. Amcor making its move, baby. Broadcom up 1.3%, SMH up 2%. Rocket Lab goes red. One of the only names that goes red. Rocket Lab goes red. Chevron and Exxon are up 4 or 5%. Chevron up 5.8%. Exxon almost up 3%. Micron's up 2%. Google's up 1%. Nvidia, okay, she broke 193 for like a millisecond. I don't think she broke 193 all of last week. Or if she did, it was very, very quick. So breaking 193 here would be very important. Zeta, that's up 2.26%. Lockheed Martin, the defense contractors are up. Nike, the Maduro, they put him in a Nike Tech sweatsuit as he was on the plane, and that sweatsuit has now sold out across Nike's online D2C business, which is incredible. But I guess they didn't need Sydney Sweeney. They just needed Maduro. rocking the tech. The Q's right there, that's up 1%. Palantir up 3%. Again, Palantir took a big beating on Friday, 6% down. We haven't had a day where it goes down 6% that easily in a couple months. I think the reason was people were waiting for 2026 to take profit. Software was down as well. Obviously, you have the catalyst over the weekend that could get more people thinking Palantir is involved, which is why it's getting a bid. The question is, can it maintain that momentum? Robinhood right there, 119. Same question, can it maintain that momentum right here? Just lost 119, but that's up 3%. Obviously, Bitcoin and the broader market being up is helping it. Micron, are we at all-time highs? We are not at all-time highs. We did hit 325. Now we're at 318. So you're getting some sellers on Micron. SMCI is up 3%. Big Bear is down 1.5. Joby is up a little bit. Goldman Sachs, that's up 2%. JP Morgan, that's an all-time high at 328. Meta's going down. Meta got a couple upgrades this morning too. So that's another story of the Max 7 getting hit. It's back to the semis, baby. That's the story. With Amcor, Nebius, AMD. Look at CoreWeave up 5%. Broadcom, I mean, unless Nvidia flips red, which it looks like the momentum is there, and based on what Jensen says today, that might continue going higher, then I think the semis continue to be the story. Are we at 28 on SoFi? Are we actually? Okay, we touched it, 27.87. SoFi's been stuck for the past couple of weeks in this range. We'll see if it can get a breakout. Lemonade right there, that's up 1% as well. Oscar, still depending on the subsidies, that's up 5%. Let me see the government shutdown odds. We were at 29% last week. Oh, good. We're at 21%. Okay. So looks like those probabilities are coming down. I think that's why Oscar's also getting a little bit of a bid that we're going to get some solution to subsidies. And I mean, look, we don't have a shutdown. We got lower oil prices. Like, you just got a lot of risk on, excitement, and momentum. And then you got crypto moving. And it could be enough to make January a really strong month. And maybe see small caps get a lot more momentum. Arista, that's up 5%. Nvidia, there she goes, 193. 193. Uber got a downgrade today. That's why they're down. They got a downgrade to like $70. Uber is a great business, dude. I don't know why they are getting downgraded this much, but the robotaxi thing is really hurting them in terms of narrative. But I mean, if you just look at their free cash flow, Uber feels extremely undervalued, but that one's getting hit down 4%, just fell below 80. Nvidia, 193. You're getting some love. UMAC, that's up 6%. All right, so the rare earth ones are moving. S&P, high of days, 687 almost. Amazon not really making a move, kind of giving back some of those gains like Meta, but at least it's green. Bitmine up 4.5%. AMD up 3.4%. AppLovin, this one fell 5% on Friday. This one continues to get hit, down 2.3%. AT&T is flat. UiPath is down 1.4%. Netflix is slightly green, and then HIMS is up 2%. Bloom Energy is green. This thing was up 10% on Friday, up 6% today, 16% for the year, as a lot of the energy names are catching a bid. Oaklow's up 7%. Wow. Dude, we're in risk on right now. Oaklow's not up 7% in a risk off environment right there. Quantum should be getting some love. D-Wave. Okay, D-Wave goes flat. That did have a good day on Friday, though, so it's giving back some of the gains. SMR, that's up 8%. Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't fight the trend right now unless you don't believe in the trend, but the trend is definitely a bit more risk on than not. Nvidia, 193. Not sure why Amcor is specifically pumping. Let me see this morning if they got an upgrade, because this doesn't look like a regular pump. 46.89. It's trying to hit its all-time high. Oh, yep, they got a price target raise. Wow. $50 from 37 from Needham. So now you have two analysts, one at 62, one at 50. I think the others are at like 35. And I'm reading this right now. We are updating our TSMC AI wafer demand model, first launch in July 2025. We believe Amcor will play a critical role here. I mean, TSM just got a ton of orders over the past couple of weeks as well. TSM, all-time highs, 329. There you go, 1.71 trillion, up 3%. Amcor is the closest subsidiary in America that is working with TSM. And, you know, there is an argument that, look, I don't think China is going to invade Taiwan tomorrow, but if they do, there's going to be a lot of issues, but there's also going to need to be a form of replicating what we've done in Taiwan in America. And maybe Amcor, Intel are going to play a role in that respect. Obviously, we'll have a lot bigger issues, but you could argue that's why it could be getting a bid. Intel right there is up 3.2% as well. Rocket Lab, I think, is just cooling off more than anything, down 6%. I mean, it's trading at a very aggressive multiple, so it's not crazy to see people take profits there. 450 on Tesla. Tesla also green, 3% on Tessie. Broadcom went red, not sure why, but Amcor theoretically could get hit if Broadcom gets hit. They're one of Amcor's biggest partners. So maybe the Amcor net new money, you want to wait a little bit until that chills out, but that's still up 8%. Broadcom now 1.4. Wow, what is this price action? Broadcom up 3%, down 1.4. That's a quick reversal. Nvidia too, losing 193. Red candles 5 minutes into the open. Why not? Don't mind if I do. Incredible. I mean, S&P hitting a high of day. If the choppiness is something we got used to at the end of the year, it feels like it's not something that's necessarily going away that easy. Meta just went green to red to green. Meta just 649 to 654. That's up. Is it a bull trap or not? I mean, dude, I think it's so hard to answer these questions every day. All of us, we try to think it's a bull trap or a bear trap, and then it just it ends up flat by the end of the day. But it is like a mini bull trap or mini bear trap throughout the day, only to end up flat, which has been the story of the past couple months. Google right there getting some love, 316. That is also green. CRML, critical rare metals, that's up another 21% today. That was up, I think, 10% on Friday. STX, that one's getting hit. Seagate, yeah, 298 to 289. Some of these gains are just not holding. It's nice to see Tesla break above 450. Tesla's never gone 8 days in a row red. And when it has, the next day it's up 100% of the time. So it makes sense that Tesla's getting a boost right here. Just historically, it usually doesn't stay at these levels after that many losing days. But you do have Tesla going green. MicroStrategy bought more Bitcoin today. Sailor bought another 1,200 BTC. MSTR right there, 165. That's up 5%. Duolingo's up 6.5. Yeah, see, why is Duolingo pumping? Like, this is weird, bro. It's hard to... Duolingo technically is a SaaS. I mean, SaaS is not really in favor. But Duolingo getting some love. Rocket Lab still down 4. Tesla 451. Zeta, are we up 5%? That's what, 2050? 2083. Okay, there you go. So David Steinberg is going to be speaking with Dan Ives this week at the CES event. Maybe they announce something. There's a rumor of a potential OpenAI partnership they announced that could be bullish for them. But I think once she breaks over 22, she's going to be off to the races, at least in terms of getting more volume. But holding 20 for the past week and a half has been good to see from Zeta. Oklo right there up 8%. How about Ondas? Drone stocks, that's flat on the day. When is the event today? The event is 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern for Jensen. I think Lisa's at 6:30, so both Jensen and Lisa talking today. Light is down 7%. This name was up a lot last week. It was also up a lot last year. I think a lot of people, what I'm seeing a lot anecdotally on X, I think is a lot of people chasing a lot of names, and maybe that's the right thing to do. But I talked to a couple people yesterday saying, they bought Micron. I'm like, that's fine. Like, Micron's cheap. But you can be honest with you, you're chasing it. Like, you're absolutely chasing it after the move that it's made. 315 right here, Micron going red on the day. And I don't think 315 is going to be a bad buy a year from now. So it maybe doesn't matter. But the sentiment of chasing and like thinking you missed out and you got to get the game, like it feels like it's there. Zeta right there over 21. Good to see that one breaking above 5.5%. And I think you're seeing that in Ondas. You're seeing that in some of the energy names. Like, people are annoyed that these are the names that are moving in the beginning of the year and they want to get exposure to it, which might end up keeping them to move, to be honest. SoFi breaking 28. That is good. If we can see this $28 hold. Where's VG? Everyone's asking, what do I think about the oil Venezuela stuff with VG? I don't know, because I don't know anything about VG, to be honest. I think Matt has a better perspective on that. But like, I genuinely don't know how to answer that. So I've got to do a lot more research into VG to see if this is like bullish or bearish. But VG is down on the day. The other energy stocks, like a Chevron, getting some love. I think the companies that are seen as direct beneficiaries to capitalizing on the crisis and the amount of money in Venezuela, those are the ones that are getting a bid, like a Chevron or Exxon. But that's because they also have the infrastructure to actually go and get the oil. Nvidia, she's losing it. She's losing it. It's down. ASTS, how about that one? 84, 83, at least she's green. Grab is up. Where is Grabby Grab? 513. Okay, so that's up 1%. Interesting, Grab's up and Uber's down. Usually follows Uber, but that one going the opposite direction. Zeta 2110. Okay. I said this last night. It is like, I really don't want to overhype Zeta because I have conviction, but I don't know if this is like the next, this is the stock of 2026. But the amount of people that are claiming this will be the stock, and I understand why they're claiming that, because the multiple is stupid when you look at the growth. Like anyone who looks at the growth in the multiple, again, I'll link my Substack if you just want to read the valuation part of that Substack. Like it really makes no sense for them to be trading here. But there's also a reason they're trading here, and maybe there's something the market knows that everyone else doesn't know. And so it's getting a lot of attention, but they're going to have to really continue to prove that they deserve a premium, even though 17 quarters of beats and raises. You would think they have proved it right now, but the market still doesn't believe it. So it might take a few more quarters. Arista, that's up 4. Oscar, that's up 6. Where's Weeble? Weeble is up 8.5, or that's up 4.7%, 850. What was your entry to Zeta? 1840. 1840 was my entry. Kados up 8%. Okay, so the defense names, some of the drone names getting love. Is SoFi actually going to break and hold 28? Wow, 28.25. Now, she did this to us at the end of December. Then she let it go. But maybe this one holds. PayPal, are we green? PayPal up a little bit. And then Hoodie, 119.25 as well. Hood up 3.5%. Someone says, Amit, in that 20% drawdown, if it happens from Tom Lee, what do you think happens to Hood? I think Hood gets hit, but I think if we get 20% down in the S&P, that's what I'm saying. Tom Lee's call, even when I heard it at the end of December, it's an aggressive call. Like, if we get a 20% S&P drawdown, like, everything's going down. But then you have to ask yourself, what's the catalyst for that? And like extreme valuation, not really, given where the mega caps are trading. Is it a geopolitical event? Well, we had one, and I don't know if that's necessarily taken us down. Is it the labor market? Well, the jobless claims are not that bad. So to get that 20% drawdown, I feel like we got to get way more euphoric before that happens. But obviously that would affect every company. And then he's expecting a 40% move from that 20% drawdown. So you got to wonder, like, is it like a 2025 type of Liberation Day year where we have that type of move where maybe we do, maybe we don't. S&P right there, 687, as that continues to move higher. Applied Digital, price target of 56 by Roth and MKM. Wow, I know a lot of you guys like this one. APLD, that's up 3.4% as well. All right, so we're getting a move. ISM in 15 minutes. We'll see what the ISM looks like. Nvidia, once again, getting dumped. They are not letting go. Wow, losing 190. Incredible. 193 to 189. Why not? They just find a way every morning to make us think she'll make a move. Silver acting like a meme stock again. That's up another 4%. Gold is up 2.5, which looks insignificant compared to silver, even though 2.5 is like $1 trillion move. I think the silver story is still going, and it's like making 70 a base. That's what it feels like for silver, which means anyone who's short, like, is just not getting the benefit of that immediate downfall that people expected to have on silver. Copper is also making a move. COPEX should be up as well. That's the copper mine. Wow, look at that. 75.40 up 3%. Yup, copper. I think it's hitting all-time highs today, is it? It looks like. Yeah, roundabout all-time highs. Silver not all-time highs yet. Copper is at, yep, 587 all-time highs. Up 4% this morning. There you go. Amazon taking Nvidia's love, going up 231. That's up 2%. And obviously Nvidia's not tanking, but you know, every time it gets a bit of momentum, it just gets hit. And so maybe Jensen says something today that keeps people excited about it, but you've got plenty of sellers that come in. But Nvidia, look at that. This is what real volume looks like. 24 million shares in 15 minutes on Nvidia. That's like real volume. Robinhood 4 million shares, Amazon 6 million shares. Like, this is the volume that has not existed in the market over the past couple of weeks. Melly loves the Venezuela news. It seems so. Mercado Libre, wow, 6% right there. Yeah, I think you're right. They got an upgrade last week, but feel like this is more Venezuela news that's helping them get some momentum. Amit, are you concerned about the tariff Supreme Court ruling we're expected to get this month? If the court strike it down, will we crash? I think it actually is bullish if the court strike it down. Robinhood passing 120 because, once again, the market never loved tariffs in the first place. Now, Trump's going to be annoyed because a lot of his deals probably fall through if he doesn't have tariffs. Zeta 2130, 7%. She's making a higher move right here. But in the short term, yes, it could be instability inside of foreign policy that was hinging on tariffs, and that could, create a hiccup for the market. But I think your Nikes, your Elfs, like, they're going to love that if we actually reverse tariffs. Look at Nike, 64, back to where it was right before earnings. 57 to 64. Your boy Tim Cook's up a couple $1 million on buying those shares. But the tariff thing is going to be another thing we have to worry about over the next coming weeks when we get that system. Feels like more uncertainty than anything. Nubank, is that getting a bid? Nubank right there, 1737. That's up 2%. Like, for everyone who thought the Maduro thing over the weekend was going to be bearish, it's like, that's just not what we're seeing. Markets have priced in, moved on, and you're starting to see a little bit more momentum here than not. How about Archer, which I think they're going to be at CES? I think Joby's going to be here. Archer's up 3.5. So you have a lot of the eVTOL companies. Again, I think humanoid robotics is going to be the big theme. Micron going red for the day, or at least red right now, 314. Humanoid robotics will be the theme this week for CES. Tesla 453. And we really need a new AI theme. Like, we really need a new freaking AI theme because it's like, it's getting a little stagnant with just the LLMs. We need something more. So we need to see what we can do to keep the market excited. By the way, guys, look at this. Look at this. Look at the sun almost coming. Look at the mountains in the back. Vegas is beautiful, dude. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the whole city and the culture and everything, but these views are absolutely gorgeous. So that's also the fun part about doing this early in the morning. Get to wake up and actually see the sun come up while we're doing the show. Davis says, no, it is not. Shout out to Davis. It's my boy. Got to see him again after a few months. He hates Vegas so much, which I get it. I would hate like living on the strip itself, but there are parts of it that are beautiful. Tesla right there, 452, 3.3. 3.3. DJT timed Venezuela perfectly over holiday weekend, so no one got to freak out and sell everything, and then a few days to digest the news. Yeah, I mean, they did it Saturday morning. Markets digested it over the past 24 hours, and then now I guess they're realizing it's not as big of a deal, or that it could be bullish. Nvidia 189, and then Robinhood just below 120. Someone just bought $800 or $989,000 worth of a Tesla 990 call. Wow. Tesla 990. September 2026 expiry. That's in the option flow. 118% out of the money. Could you imagine if Tesla's $990? When they're probably doing this strategically. I don't know if they actually think Tesla will get to that price, but if Tesla gets anywhere near like 550, that contract will be worth more. If Tesla would doubled in a year, like, I mean, talk about risk on if we actually get that type of, that would be like a $4 trillion company. I mean, Nvidia's a $4 trillion company. They're doing 65 billion of revenue, and they can barely get above a 25 PE. Tesla's PE at that point, if they don't grow, unless there's some massive growth curve in 3 quarters, that'd be like a 950 PE. They're trading at 200. It would be a pretty aggressive PE at that point, even though right now it's a little aggressive. Chevron, that's up 3. Critical Rare Earths, that's up 18. ASML, congrats to everyone in this name. You have to go through a lot of shit when it was stuck at 600 to 800. 1221, you got to double if you got those lows back in the summer. That's up another 5%. Another 5%. That has to be a hedge. Yeah, it looks like a hedge. I mean, that OTM of a call feels a little bit more like a hedge. Matt says, Amit, are you doing a market close? Matt, I am not. So, Matt, you should definitely do a market close because I will be missing it. I will be seeing Jensen live and fangirling. So you absolutely should do a market close. And I mean, you could probably stream the Jensen thing too, Matt, because you'll be there anyway. So you might as well stream it. I might get to ask him a question, and I'm super scared because if they actually pick on me, I'm probably not going to because there's a lot of people. But if I do get picked, like, what do you ask Jensen Huang? Like, dude, I feel like just like the aura of like seeing him in person is gonna be crazy. He's Jensen freaking Huang. But it will be fun if we get to ask him a question. Something about China. Yeah, but I don't want to ask a dumb question, dude. Jensen will roast you if you ask a stupid question. Like, he's done it in the past. It's got to be a well thought out question. Pounds right there, 173.43. That's up 3.5%. His favorite movie. Oh my gosh, dude. Could you imagine that's what First of all, it would be such a softball question. No one would respect it. Like, really? This guy's asking his favorite movie. But second of all, like, I don't know. I think people would just be like, you wasted a question on him saying Back to the Future or something. Like, imagine he says it's Inception, though. That'll be fun. Given Inception is my favorite movie. Let's get an update right here on Venezuela. The president, again, now in custody. And then we'll keep going from there.
And reporting, I should say, is that this concept going around that suddenly Exxon is going to show up or ConocoPhillips is going to show up in Venezuela tomorrow is simply not true. David Faber, you know very well, Guyana, Exxon is very much involved in that offshore platform, billions of dollars of investment. We're talking about a country that would require, if not a decade, close to it, tens of billions of dollars of investment. And if it does begin, it will begin with the Schlumbergers, the Halliburton, and the Baker Hugheses of the world, because to build out any extra oil output, you first need to modernize and invest in the guts, the infrastructure of oil, and that are the services names. That is why they are up very quickly, why Valero's up, because the Venezuelan oil is very thick, it is very sludgy. If indeed there is some kind of increase in output, that oil would likely be shipped to America and refined by, likely, a Valero, which has the capability to refine the heavier crude that would ultimately be turned into diesel.
Look, there's a good point there. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time for this to play out. Oil prices are not dramatically going down right now either. They're actually up a little bit, up 1.2%. Brent crude's at 1% right here. So you have nat gas that's down 5%. That doesn't necessarily have to do exactly what happened in Venezuela, but you do have some of those prices coming down. But for it to meaningfully go down like below 50, the market might be expecting that, or at 50. But it'll take a little bit of time, I think, for the output to even match the capacity. But if a Chevron and Exxon get there in a couple weeks, and maybe by mid-2027 you start to really see the implications of it, I feel like the market prices that in well before. Ask Jensen, what is the contingency plan for chip production if China invades Taiwan? See, but I think that's such a deep question. Like, that's a podcast question, Like, if I'm sitting down with the guy and he has like 5 minutes, 10 minutes to actually articulate his thoughts. But I feel like asking that question on the spot is just, you're going to get a quick answer because he's not really going to have the nuance to explain the answer. Is Microsoft the play for the Mac 7? Are we actually all hyping up Amazon when Microsoft should be the play? I mean, this thing, just like Amazon's getting no love yet. 472. It did outperform Amazon last year. But you're not seeing a meaningful move yet. Meta is the play. Well, look, I mean, I love IG. Wow, Meta 658. So I do think it is. But I told you guys, I got the glasses over Christmas, and the glasses are like, I can't imagine ever using those every single day. So really, Meta is a company where outside of their AI ambitions and their physical hardware, their apps just keep you hooked. There's just not many platforms in the world that keep billions of people hooked every day. And it's a phenomenal advertising business they've created because of that. It's just the street wants so much more, which is why they spent $2 billion on Manus. I don't know if Meta is going to be performing agentic workflows for me. I think Apple should be, or Google should be the ecosystem I go to for that stuff, but maybe it becomes Meta if it's just that much better. Like, the Manus thing feels kind of desperate, but at the same time feels like this is finally the stuff the street cares about them doing, not just investing in advertising. Melly right there up 6%. But Zucks has to prove it now. over the next week. Bitcoin, are we actually pumping? Are we actually pumping? Okay, 93.6. This is the highest in the past 24 hours, right? Or did we hit 93.7? We hit 93.7, I think, real quick. So it's actually making a move right here. 94 would be the big move. But we have to see. Can we get through it? I mean, we haven't had a move like this on Bitcoin in the past month, to be honest. Matt says there were oil in projects that were put on pause in early 2025 when Trump increased sanctions as retaliations for not adhering to the 2024 Venezuela election results. Yeah, so if those sanctions go away, which I would imagine they do now because Maduro's not there, you're opening up a lot of opportunity. Matt says those projects at earliest would come on Steam at 2030. Okay, so then the question becomes, how far does the market price it in if it's actually going to take years for it to play through? But again, that's why it's weird that Chevron is getting it was up 19% last night. Now it's not up, it's up 3% now, which makes more sense. But even I was like, okay, hold on. This stock moves like 5% a year. Like 15% for something that's not going to come live in at least 4 or 5 years is a bit ridiculous. Got to 171 last night. Now it's back at 160. But still showing some green. Bitcoin right there, 93.5. Zillow's up a little bit. Rocket Mortgage, is that moving up? Rocket, that's up 5%. So your rate cut plays are getting some love. Zeta, are we breaking 2150? I think that's the big resistance it has to get through. 2109. All right. Still not holding 2150 yet. Tesla, 451. Mitt, do you think SoFi is really the play of 2026? I think so. I think SoFi is... Look, I have a position. Now, I probably bought more shares than I needed to for SoFi, so just fair warning, if we see 32, 33 on earnings, I'm probably selling a decent chunk of shares, but I will have a good chunk left. But I definitely bought a little bit more than I probably needed to. So it's now an overweight position. Granted, when you look at the earnings estimates and they're multiple, there's no reason this stock should not be 45, if not higher than that, if Noto actually outperforms analyst expectations on EPS, which just is a question of operating leverage going up. PayPal getting a little bit of a bid right there, 59.24. But I feel like I will keep a core position, especially for S&P news, which hopefully we get by end of year. It's just hard for SoFi to hold gains. But look, if Noto actually wants to get this compensation package, the move has to happen now. If it happens in March, he doesn't qualify for it. So if we're going to 35, it has to happen like this month. Or at least the earnings have to be good enough for it to create the foundation for it to go there. Because otherwise, he doesn't have time. And if it has to go to 45 and it has to be there for a weighted average of 60 days, then it really has to happen soon. So I think we have to see if he can actually get the job done. Coinbase right there, above 7%, 254. That one's making a move. Earnings are January 30th. And usually SoFi gets a little bit of a pump on earnings, but then it just fades out throughout the rest of the day, which I think we'll see in the first 5 minutes how good those earnings are. Maybe it doesn't this time, but it kind of can't afford to if he wants to hit those price targets. Morgan Stanley's up today. Wow, 3%. All the big banks. The banks are up. Max 7's kind of up with Meta, Tesla, and Amazon. Nvidia lost some gains. S&P 687, very close to all-time highs on the S&P. SMH another 2%. And then AMD is up. Okay, ISM, we should be getting there right now. It's 10 a.m. Let's see. This is manufacturing. 47.9 on ISM manufacturing PMI versus 48.3. Employment 44.9 versus 44.1. That's a beat. New orders 47.7 versus 47.2. That's a beat. Prices 58.5 versus 58.6. That's a very slight miss. And then the composite number 47.9 versus 48.3. Once again below 50, which means we have room to run, one could argue. AMD losing its momentum. Wow, AMD 234 to 224. But below 50 means, we are contracting, but that should also be the bull case for why earnings can continue to grow. Meta right there, 659. S&P kind of likes it. Little red candle on that news. Nothing crazy. but that's what we have on.
Comes in light, 47.9. So this would be what, the 10th consecutive read under 50. Only the first 2 months of the year were above 50, and it's the lowest read since October of 24. And if we look at prices paid, unfortunately, it remains sticky. 58.5 equals last month's 58.5, and that was the highest since the previous month, September of 25. New orders, 47.7. That's very close to expectations, but obviously in contraction territory, under 50. 47.7 would be the weakest going back to, well, just last month was 47.4. So you can see it's actually the strongest since October, but we have not been above 50 since August of this year. Last year, new year, this year, right? ISM employment finally, considering that we have ADP and the big jobs report this week, comes in at 44.9, well under 50, but it is a little higher than our last, which was 44.0. 44.9 actually is the best since it was 46 in October. That means we've now had 11 consecutive readings under 50. The only reading that was above 50 in the employment space was the very first month of the year. Interest rates, well, they're all down a little bit, but they're down.
Market's not too upset about that. The 10-year barely down. You're not seeing massive momentum to the downside. You're getting some people buy these bonds right here. 4.169. We were at 4.18 in the morning. I mean, S&P just hit a high of day. Small cap should be moving. 251 on small caps. IWM. It feels more risk on than not. Look at SoFi, almost 4% here. Zeta's up 7. Meta's up 1. It's almost like an everything rally, including commodities. Grab's up 2. D-Wave up 3. Oklo up 10. I guess all of energy is getting a bid because of what happened over the weekend. I don't think there's any Oklo specific news, but that's getting a bid. Nebius losing its pump, still up 2% though. CoreWeave as well lost everything. It was up 5%. Now it's not. But you are seeing more green than not. And then ASML holding at 1200. Tesla, are we moving? Are we moving? All right, a little 4% on Tessie. 454. 19% year to date. Yeah, dude, everyone's year to dates have to be incredible. I'm up 11.8%. No, 12.4% year to date. Just can't trust this shit, yo. You just have so much more time before this plays out. Shopify. Why is Shopify moving today? Look at that. 5% candle on Shopify. This is everything. The VIX is up a little bit. That's correct. Now, Broadcom couldn't hold on to the pump, unfortunately, which is weird. Is Amcor still up 8%? Amcor usually goes down when Broadcom, I guess that upgrade, very specific to Amcor, kept it moving. Broadcom, one of the only semis getting hit. I think Nike's undervalued here. What do you think? Well, Nike was at the same level right before earnings at 64. So, it was undervalued before earnings. It's undervalued now. If you think it was undervalued before earnings, then you have to think it's undervalued right now. At 57, sentiment was the lowest, and that's when you got the insider buys coming in. I don't know. Is Nike the turnaround play with a depressed multiple that eventually is going to expand? Probably, but they said it on the earnings call. They said it's going to take a while. They didn't sugarcoat it and say that we're going to reverse things in a quarter. So I think the insider buys are very encouraging, but it might take a few quarters for them to actually show China revenue growth is coming back, which I think was the biggest reason they got hit along with tariffs. Now the dark horse is the Supreme Court overturns the tariffs, and that boom immediately opens up Nike for a play. So I think from that angle, it's worth a trade and the insider buys. But is it so deeply undervalued where you think that is where your money should be this year? I don't know. Now, granted, we got a little bit of a risk-off momentum to start off the year, which we're not seeing yet. That probably rotates into Nike and Elf and Verizon and all those names that pay you a divvy. So maybe there's a macro argument to go long Nike there as well. S&P trying to hit 688. Zeta getting close to that 2150 level. That'll be important. SoFi breaking 2850 as well. Amazon 231, Mercado up 7%, and then Meta up 2%. Yeah, Nike does not have a lot of growth. If you're investing for growth, you're not going to really get that there either. Interesting. All right, let me do a poll in the chat. How are people thinking of this green? Are you believing in the green is the question. Is this enough? Is 2 days of everything up enough to get you to believe the green is real? Oscar making a move as well. Yep. Red cat holding 10. That is also correct. Tess says my broker removed my year-to-date. That's weird. You know, Robinhood used to do something where they would show you your year-to-date versus the S&P and the benchmark, and they got rid of that. And I don't know why they did, but it would be nice if you... I know Fidelity does that. I think Schwab does that. That would be pretty cool to see as well. Let me see. Do we have the update on Robinhood for the investor index for January? No, still updated for December. All right, so the top 10 stocks across the platform as per December were Meta, Microsoft, Tesla, Google, Nvidia, Amazon, Ford, Palantir, Apple, and GameStop. So we'll see if January that changed or anything. Because their clients underperform. I mean, that could be an argument psychologically. Like, if you're underperforming, they don't want to show you that you're underperforming. Because then that means you just buy the S&P and they don't really make any money if that happens. So, yeah, that's a fair point. That could happen. Nubank up 1%, and then Nvidia still below 190. Yeah, why is SMR and Oklo going nuts today? Dude, this is, again, nothing against those companies, but why are they pumping? Like, you don't necessarily love seeing them pump for no reason. And it makes you wonder, like, where is the market at right now? I don't see a single headline for Oklo. Nothing. Last main headline I have is the MOU they signed with the Idaho National Laboratory back in November. And, I mean, oil prices, like, yeah, I guess that kind of affects small modular reactors, but not really. So the Venezuela thing can't really be the catalyst. But I don't know. They're moving. And you got Amcor right there. Up 8% still. SoFi 28.34, Robinhood 119. And then Nvidia 190 still. Danielle says they're going green because I tax loss harvested them. Dude, that happened for a lot of the high beta shit. Like a lot of people. I was with Evan, Stock Market News. He's at the event as well for CES, and he tax loss harvested a ton of BMNR. He's like, of course it's up now. Of course, when I sell at 27, it goes to 32. Wow, Zeta breaking 2150. Okay. I mean, if she can actually get 22 and volume has already been double for the past couple of days. Today, volume's at 2 million, average is 5.2. So they've done half the volume in 30 minutes. That's an encouraging sign. Of course, Davis with his gay ass smiley face when I mention Zeta, dude. I hate him so much, but I also love him. He has a sexy Tesla. He has a nice, sexy red Tesla that he picked me up in yesterday. Like, I like my Model Y, but the red Model 3, oh my goodness. It's gorgeous. S&P 687 right there. Thoughts on Samsung? I think the memory stuff, I think Samsung was up, right? And it was up like 6% this morning. It's up 7%. Yeah, the memory is enough to get it to move. It's up 12% for the year. Same thing with SK Hynix. Memory is the story. And I just don't want to chase memory, but it is the story. And obviously, if you're in those names, I don't think you have a reason to sell, given that memory catalyst is not slowing down. We are not getting Technical Tuesday tomorrow, guys. I won't even be able to do the close, unfortunately. But definitely we'll be back next week. Jason, by the way, he does a Monday. I'm going to link his channel right now. He does a Monday stream. I'm pretty sure he's doing it again today. So if you really want the TA, tune into his live stream today, probably at like 12 Eastern. And he'll definitely probably mention a ton of different things to watch out for the week. But we'll be back next week as well. We will not have a close Monday, Tuesday. Likely Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be okay. But at least we're doing the market open every day. It's just the close. Like literally, we can't do the close today or tomorrow just because of the event. But the other 3 days we should be good. And then we have earnings once I come back to Jersey next week, January 14th. So as soon as we come back, we are back into the earnings cycle, which is the beautiful thing about covering markets. Every 90 days, you just have all these results to look forward to. And we'll see what happens there. Nike up 2.4. Tessie up 3.5. Why did Micron lose all the steam? Because I think people are taking profits too. Like when you chase this stuff, there's going to be people that eventually use you as exit liquidity, which is okay. That's part of chasing, especially if you missed a story or a thesis. But I mean, dude, the run on Micron has been incredible. And again, you can't say it's necessarily overvalued. You could say it's cyclical, and then again, the cycle looks like it's going to go a lot longer than expected. I mean, Stock Talk, he's a big fan of the AI trade, but he is worried that Nvidia doesn't really get this to last more than like a year and a half, 2 years. And the market's going to price that in before that happens. I think Nvidia has a shot to, I'm looking at an Nvidia billboard right now across the street. That's crazy. I think they have a shot to keep this going for the next 3-4 years. I don't think it has to be an 18-month cycle. The question is, can they keep gross margins at 73% for the next 3 years? Like maybe the growth doesn't slow down as dramatically. I mean, it will slow down, but it does, it doesn't fall off a cliff. But the margin compression, I think, is what people are more worried about because it is a hardware name. And to have those types of margins in a monopolistic way is just not easy. Part of the reason I think they bought Grok to hedge back against the custom ASICs, taking away their margins as well. Amit, what's the best location for the hotel for the meetup? Yeah, let me put that here in the chat. Again, you guys, if you signed up for the meetup, you will get a link from Jess. She's sending an email soon, probably today, along with a WhatsApp group on the details and the hotel to sign up for. But I will put the link right here in the chat as well. And this is the deal we have with the Marriott. Again, the meetup is in New Jersey. It's not really New York, but it's very close to New York, so it's like technically New York. But this hotel is like, I think 10 minutes away from the location. And this is what you should use to book it. But you'll get an email today with the exact details if you've signed up already. There you go. Link is in the chat. And then meetup, we're at around 255. We're going to try to cap it at 300. Link is in the description. But yeah, we should be closing up the signups probably in the next week and a half. And then we'll be done for that. And then LA, I will give details to people soon. We are getting ready for LA. So probably in the next week, we should start to have more details on LA. Robinhood 119, PayPal 59, Archer's up a little bit. Zeta still holding close to 2150. And then Bitmine at 3204. Venezuela orders police to find, arrest anyone involved in supporting U.S. attack emergency decree. Wow. Okay, so you have the local military in Venezuela. They are not going to be backing down as easily. See, but here's the thing, right? And I was talking about this with Stock Talk last night. The U.S. is going to put boots on the ground, which is what Trump said what you're going to do. We're going to put boots on the ground. Okay, what are the Venezuelan police going to do when the U.S., we're talking about the United States of America, has boots on the ground? I mean, if they actually try to fight, I think, the American military probably has the edge. But if they do try to fight, then it's technically war. So far, there hasn't been any armed conflict yet in that respect. Tesla right there, 455 highs of day. But I wonder what happens if they try to fight back. Because realistically, they're not going to win. Like, we're talking about the American military. And so I don't think they would want to sign up for that, especially when the people of Venezuela are not on their side. Like, it's easier to fight back when you've got the people on your side. The people in Venezuela, just based on a lot of the content I've been seeing over the weekend, are very, very supportive of this. But I wonder what that means if boots actually do get on the ground and we fight. This is what Trump had to say about it over the weekend.
U.S. troops will be on the ground. How will that work?
Well, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground that we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. but we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to.
So again, Trump is not shying behind this idea of putting boots on the ground. And, you know, if that escalates, then that can potentially meaningfully escalate. Tesla right there, 455. Couple headlines on Tesla that I'm seeing right now. Tesla's testing at least 7 cybercabs on public roads in Austin plus the Bay Area. You have that headline this morning. And then you have a report from Bloomberg saying Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot project is facing technical and timeline challenges. The robots remain hand-built, lack full dexterity, and are often remotely operated. The robotics push comes down as Tesla's core EV business weakens. I wonder how they're getting that leak that Optimus is struggling. China robotics are on fire, and that's part of what the CBS 60-minute special was about last night. You're seeing a lot more of these companies get these robots out. But either they have inaccurate sources or they're right that robotics are not necessarily moving hardcore. And I think at CES, we'll see a lot more companies try to attack that area. Amcor right there up 9.2%. Zeta, wow, 2150 break. That's important. Bitmine, 4%. SPY, high of day. IWM, small caps up 1. SoFi, 2840. Archers up 4. Amazon, 2.8. Getting some love right there. D-Wave, that's up 7%. Quantum is moving. Oklo, 11.7. That continues to move. AppLovin, that's up 1%. Snapchat up 1.4. ServiceNow up 1.4. Bloom Energy 3.4. I mean, these names are taking off now. Bitcoin, are we trying to get to Firefly? Is that up? Yep, Fly's up 8%. BTC just below 94, 93.7 we touched. Denmark Prime Minister, I think Trump is serious about wanting to take over Greenland. Both Denmark and Greenland have clearly said no. If the U.S. attacks another NATO country, then everything stops. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other thing we forgot to mention last night. I mean, if the U.S. attacks another NATO country on their pursuit of Greenland, I mean, things can get pretty dicey. If that band, Trump sounded like he was very serious last night about it. Shopify 7%, Redwire 8%. Dude, you're seeing everything. It's a high beta day so far, about an hour into it. You either fade that move and think it's going to fall back, Oklo now 12.3%, or D-Wave $30. Look at that. Or you ride the trend higher. And I guess the trend as of now, although Broadcom is getting hit, seems to be higher than not. How do I sign up for the meetup? I'll put it again in the chat. There it is right there. That link should take you there. Did you add the Palantir dip? I did not add the Palantir dip over Friday. It's funny because I added the Palantir dip at 170 like 4 months ago, but that was before Q4, and I knew or Q3. I had a feeling they would crush Q3, and they did. It's just obviously the multiple's up there. So now, I mean, I don't know if it's a net add right here. Just given again the multiples up there, they're gonna have to give you one of those big quarters. I think if Palantir can just keep their multiple, that is the thing that I'd be the happiest about. Now again, I said that last year when they were at 70, and they definitely expanded the multiple. This time the question is, will the buyers continue to stay? But I think they're going to do 60% growth again. They're probably going to do $6.5 billion of revenue. Operating margins probably continue. Like everything good that needs to happen will happen. It's just how much of that is priced in, and obviously a decent chunk is. But I also don't think it needs to go to $100 like a lot of the bears are saying. And if it's a risk-on year, or at least a risk-on few months, then maybe that continues as well. Rocket Lab down 2.7%. Are you adding to it? No, I'm not adding to hood here. First of all, I'm massively overweight hood. But second of all, like, again, we saw those December volumes. It wasn't good. Like, if we're just being honest, it was not good. And I think we're not going to get 50, 60% growth rates this year if crypto goes away and then if market volatility dies down. Now, if we go super high beta, I don't know how long that's sustainable, but if it is, that's going to elevate volumes. But I think this is the year for hood to consolidate and or introduce a bunch of new products that are diversifying them away from being contingent on the market cycle. I think this is what they have to prove this year. Because remember, every quarter they have to beat $1 billion. That's what they did last year. Last year it was easy because they were doing 600. That's why last year hood was the obvious trade, because market volatility was at an all-time high, and you knew that they had really easy comps, and it was just such a simple bet. Now, at $130 billion valuation, it becomes different. But I do think if we see a dip below 100, it's going to be a great opportunity, like a phenomenal opportunity. But I don't know if we're easily going to see a dip like that either. Just given people know it's a fundamentally good company. So would you sell hood? No, I wouldn't sell hood. I don't know if net new money goes into hood at these levels, but I would not sell my hood. Especially if, you bought it at the lows last year. Unless you want to take the profits and take some off the table. But hood to me is a never sell. Hood to me is you could trim, but it's never a sell out position. But it's also you got to be honest. If they don't have the crypto volumes, they're missing 37% of their revenues. It's just going to be really hard for them to make it up somewhere else. I believe Vlad will have the product innovation to get there, but you also have to be a little sympathetic because it's it might not happen overnight. Nubank 1745, that's up 2.5%. PayPal up 1.9. Nebius up 1.8. What else are we seeing? Schlumberger's up 8.7. My goodness. That's still making a move. Kraken's going public soon. That's going to be something to look at as well. The crypto exchange. ASTS up 5. Some of the space names took a hit like Rocket Lab, but ASTS is up 6%. And then HIMS, as Davis says, is so trash. Continues to lose its appeal. I think with him, same thing. They got to diversify this year for the core business to be more attractive. Again, it's not like the company is super expensive. It trades at 3.4 times price to sales. There's a reason people were buying this thing at this price all of last year. It's just with the lawsuits and Novo, it got hit pretty bad. They're going to do $1.4 billion in Q4. Let me check the projections, actually, for what Wall Street has on them. So earnings estimates, Wall Street has $1.32 billion. Yeah, I could see them doing 1.4. That'd be reasonable. And again, they have a lot of their share buybacks. Again, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's going to have another 200% year. That's my point. Does it have a 20, 30, 40, 50% year? Maybe. Or does it go flat this year? Maybe. But last year was obvious this thing is going higher. This year, it might not be as obvious. Same thing with Palantir. Again, the multiple is just, it's up there. So is it as obvious as it was last year? I don't know. But again, given how the market's reacted over the first 2 days of 2026, everything's high beta up. So if this is the trend, then yeah, Palantir and Hood are going way higher. Way higher. If this is the trend the entirety of the year, we're looking at Palantir 250, Hood at 200. It's just, will we be able to hold this type of a trend? Webull up 4, Duolingo up 7, then MSTR up 5. QXO, is that up 13% today? Really? Wow. Steve's going to be happy about this. Why is QXO up this much? That's a hell of a move. QXO right there, 13.5%. Are you in VG? Yes. Not a big position, but I'm in VG. Okta's up 8%. All right, so some of the software names getting some love. 89.29. TSM, they got upgraded. Yeah, that makes sense. 13% move, probably an upgrade. TSM right there as well, up 2.3. Yeah, I'm looking at all the news channels. They're all talking about Venezuela, all of them. I mean, it obviously is the biggest story. I wonder how long the story is mainstream news every single day. And I feel like more and more updates in the region, especially if things escalate, will continue to make it top of line. Micron just flipped green. Zeta 2163. Zeta can break 22. That'll be very exciting to see. Tesla 453. The S&P can break 690. That would be nice. Why is Big Bear down? I have no idea. That's down 4%. Yeah, this is a high beta name that usually moves when everything else moves. Let me see if they got a downgrade. QXO is raising $1 billion from Apollo. They're taking on debt? They're taking on... No, it's equity. Convertible preferred stock. Oh, wow. The street loves this. I mean, yeah, you get $1 billion in a friendly deal. Street's going to like that. So that's why that one's up. Big Bear, I don't see that headline. I don't see a downgrade either. They did redeem their convertible notes that were at a coupon of 6%, but that was last week. But QXO making a move here. Yeah, again, QXO raising $1 billion from Apollo. I'm surprised Apollo is giving. Apollo is getting. If you listen to the chief president at Apollo, he's getting pretty conservative about lending standards, and he's starting to get a little worried more about private, like Jamie Dimon. So the fact that he's okay with QXO and putting out money means he must have a lot of faith in the business and just ultimately how they're operating here. That one is giving them a move. A-Lab, that's up. HIMS is up 1%. Hoodie again, 120. And then D-Wave up 7. Micron up 1. UNH, this one also moving. UNH is down, 334. Okay, that's not moving. Mate, your hotel lighting looks better than your house. To be fair, I'm near a big-ass window, which is very, very light-intensive. I'm happy they put me on a super high floor. Like, it's always nice to get a nice little view of Vegas. It's also cool just because you get to see the mountains and everything. Yeah, the lighting is decent. SMH still moving 2%. SoFi, she going for 29. 2850. I do not own SMCI. This one has made SMCI's red. This one has made a couple of lists I've seen for top picks of 2026, just as a catch-up. A-Lab lost it, 185 to 167. Wow. Talk about a reversal in the networking space. What about Arista? Arista lost it as well, but still holding some of it. A-Lab and Broadcom, ugly reversals today. Ugly reversals. Cost on VG is 690. You say SoFi still buy at these values? Yeah, I think SoFi is below 30. I think it's a buy. Now, granted, if you know the personality of the stock, it really tends to go back and forth more than anything. Meaning it's hard for it to make these. When it makes a breakout move, it takes a long time continuing that breakout move. So, I mean, it could get to 2850 today and then just stay there for the next few weeks. Meaning you're not really buying a breakout. You're buying a little bit of a breakout on consolidation. But I still think after earnings, it's likely cheap. We got Sham from Palantir on Fox today. He's speaking about Venezuela. Let's see what he has to say.
About defense, given what we've been talking about all morning in Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro and his wife will face an arraignment today at 12 p.m. Eastern. When you're talking about defense, Sham, what should the audience be understanding about the most important AI-related defense products and equipment that are needed?
Well, whether it's the value chain in the commercial world or the kill chain in the defense world, these are the same thing. It's about decision advantage. You want to be more competitive given the stakes in both of these contexts. Now, I think it's about being able to move faster and see the battlefield faster than your adversary can even react to it. I think it's telling that the Chinese are shocked by the efficacy of the operations here. More has changed in the Department of War in the last year under the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Hegseth than we have seen in the last 20 years here. And so the rate at which these technologies are being incorporated to advantage the American warfighter, to ensure our people have the best technology from the foxhole to the factory floor should be encouraging to all American citizens.
Yeah.
Okay, then here's Sham on some of the AI doomerism.
There is a historic opportunity for America to underwrite the next decade of our prosperity with AI. I think there is a doomerism narrative that's coming out of both Silicon Valley and Wall Street, where there's a totally different reality that's happening on the factory floor, in the ICU nursing centers, with our submarine-based industrial suppliers, that's leading to job growth. This is about empowering the American worker, giving the American worker superpowers that allows us to underwrite our reindustrialization as a nation. That's what's happening every day out there right now. And I think the market has largely figured out that Palantir is the leading company, if not the only company, that is building and implementing AI aligned with American values, AI that's supporting American prosperity. There is a historic opportunity for America.
I mean, Sham has been on this trend that AI should not be doomeristic. It should not be something people are scared of. It should be something that we see as empowering. Wow, SoFi, 2860. Okay, let's see if she can keep making this move. Palantir 174, Robinhood 120.5. But his argument is that the labor market will be enhanced with AI, not deteriorated. And I think he's right. But I also think there is a world in which a lot of these jobs are just gone. I was talking about it with Stock Talk last night. He thinks jobs are completely dead. I mean, like his argument is a very simplistic. He's like, we can never be better than AI. And at the rate it's progressing, there's no way for it to be better than AI. So if it's not going to be, if we're not going to be better than AI, if you're not going to have to hire 20 junior analysts or like a paralegal because ChatGPT can find out the case law precedent within an hour versus within 6 months, then like that's something you can't beat. But there's also an argument from what Sham is saying, which is that on the factory floor, the stuff you can't replace blue collar workers unless the whole humanoid robotic thing becomes as big as we think it is. You're going to need software to empower them, which is the whole Palantir Nvidia partnership around data centers as well. So, like, yes, I don't think AI is going to take away jobs in the short term, but obviously long term, it's really hard to imagine blue collar, white collar jobs also don't get hit in some respect. I just don't think it's going to happen as soon as people, which is why, all the doomerism of like it's going away tomorrow, that's not happening. But I also think we can't be naive to the fact that, yes, people will eventually not need to do a lot of the jobs that we do today. ASML all-time highs, that's getting some momentum. There you go, 5.5%, almost 6 right there, 1230 on Mr. ASML. What did you order for breakfast? Dude, I'm not ordering any. First of all, I don't eat breakfast. Second of all, the breakfast here would be like $80, dude. I'm not ordering breakfast here. One of the cab drivers were saying it last night. The good thing about Vegas years ago was that you could get a room for cheap. You could go out, get a nice meal, gamble, be with your friends. Now it's expensive. Now it's like if you're going to eat lunch in a hotel, like you're paying $80-90. Like any hotel, you're not going to get a cheap meal. The rooms cost money. It's like A, inflation has obviously jacked up prices, but B, it's just like the lack of foot traffic has meant prices have gone higher versus down because there's not enough people here. BMNR up again. Sorry, Evan. Then again, Evan, if ETH goes down, BMNR will be right back at your price. But 32.27, that's up 3%. So yeah, dude, Vegas is expensive. It's not necessarily cheap. Iran, are we moving here? Iran 46.16, that's up 8. Nebius is kind of following, but not really. Up 3%. Make a quick $100 in the market and order the damn breakfast. Honestly, I really just don't like eating breakfast, but it's gotten ridiculously expensive around traveling in general. I do need to get rich, though, because I am tired of sitting coach. Like, I am so unbelievably, like, if I could just pay for first class every time just to avoid the nonsense of being in coach. Seda 2170, 9% move right there. That would be nice. I am so tired of sitting in 32F for 6 hours with my neck in horrible structures. It'd be nice to just go first class everywhere. First class domestic is a scam. It's absolutely a scam. But like, goodness, dude. Tired of this shit. I did sleep most of the flight, though. That was a good thing. But it was the most uncomfortable sleeping. Dude, I almost missed the flight because my idea was stay up all night because the flight's at freaking 6. I'll just stay up till 4, then I'll go to the airport. And then lo and behold, at 3:55, your boy dozes off on the couch. And then thankfully I wake up by 4:30, but I'm like, dude, there was no alarm. There was, I don't know what woke me up. But if I had stayed, I would have absolutely missed that flight. I was like, no, I'll wake up in 10 minutes and call the Uber. It's like, nope. Slept for 30 minutes. Amcor, high of day, 4708. 4708. You still won't ask to go to the bathroom? No, but I had an aisle seat, so I didn't need to use the bathroom. But if I did have to go to the bathroom, I was on the aisle, so I wouldn't have had to make people move. But you can't tell me if you're in the window seat, you don't feel a little annoyed telling 2 people to get up, especially if they're comfortable, just so you can use the bathroom. It's like no, like we gotta be nicer as a human species. So now I just solve it by doing the aisle seat. That's the easiest way to get there. All right, let's see what else we have. Duolingo 190. Any other crazy macro data coming in today? Chevron charter tanker carrying Venezuela crude departs from Venezuela waters bound for the U.S. Gulf Coast. Okay, so you're starting to see some more momentum with companies setting up the infrastructure in Venezuela. Mexican president comes out and says Trump has said that the U.S. military can enter Mexico, but we have said no. You got the Mexican president not getting ready to tolerate anything from Trump. You know, when Trump was talking about Canada 51st state, it seems like he was partly joking, partly not joking. Venezuela, he's, feels like he's legitimately thinking they could be the 51st state. Now, I don't think they're going to be, but the fact that he's thinking that is kind of crazy. Amazon right there, 232.61. Goldman Sachs forecast December payrolls up 70,000 above the 54,000 consensus, with unemployment rate falling to 4.5%. Do we have jobs data this Friday? Oh, yeah, we have non-farm payrolls on Friday. Dude, if we get 70 grand, unemployment goes down. We're not getting a rate cut. 70,000 is not crazy, but still, it's a decent chunk. Wow, SoFi is really... I mean, it was at 32 in November. We did see it there. It's not like it's unheard of for it to get there. 28.84. That's a hell of a move today on Mr. SoFi. Just got to see if we can hold it here. Doug says, or you go to the bathroom before you board and hold it in for 3 hours like an adult. Or you can just be a nice person and, not interrupt the people sitting next to you. Made how many slots left for the meetup? About 50. Again, I'll link it in the chat. I think we'll be closing it up. I know most people like to sign up towards the end of the month, but I mean, we got about 30 days left, so I think we'll be closing it up in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be done. What's your price target for SoFi by end of 26? Honestly, I have no idea. I'm going off of what Tanner and Roy have been thinking, but they think it can get to $50 if they do close to $1 of EPS and just give them the same multiple they're trading at right now, which, yeah, I don't know why they can't get to that growth. And then you have Robinhood 120.50, and then you have S&P 500, which should be a decent catalyst as well. There's not that many good companies to get into the S&P this year. Like last year, it was way more competitive. This year, it's like SoFi should get in. Reddit is kind of early, but Reddit should get in. I mean, there's some data center plays, but there's a decent chunk of momentum that should see SoFi be a prime catalyst as well this year. Where's TMDX? I have not started my research on that. I thought I would on the plane, but I fell asleep. That's up another 4%. I've looked at a little bit at their Q3 earnings. The growth is really good. It's not really that expensive, 7 times sales. I think they have a moat, but I've not done enough research yet to really get excited. Nebius 93.40. BMNR 32.26. SLB up 11%, dude. Look at that. Can we do year-to-date dates? Can the year just end here and we start in 2027? This is the hard part about managing a portfolio, right? Like, you can be on a high for a long time, and then one thing happens, and your entire performance is destroyed. Which is why I think the super, super big professionals are so keen to take profits. Because once you've been through it, Oklo up 13%, you just know how hard it is to come across gains. It's a ruthless market. It really is. And so when you have gains, now granted, the retail investor tends to win by just going net long, because over the long term, if you're in the right companies, they compound and you let compounding do the work for you. But if you're actively managing, like Stock Talk, he had an interesting philosophy yesterday. I thought it was really interesting how he framed this argument. He's like, I will never bag hold a stock. He's like, if I take a position and it goes against me, the max drawdown I'm taking is like 7 to 8%. It obviously depends on the position sizing, but if I'm in a name and it goes against me, I'm out. I don't bag hold. I just don't hold names that are red, which I think is kind of unconventional, right? Because most people, like if you buy SoFi at 28.80 here and it goes to 26, you either DCA or, you just deal with the fact that you're down. 28.90, wow. Really going for 29 here. But he would probably cut it. He would just not even give it the chance to turn into a bag hold, which I thought was interesting. And obviously everyone has different philosophies. SoFi, there it is, 29. But it is a different type of active management. Okay, cool. So, if we got 29, we should be able to get 30. Let me check resistance. It doesn't have to happen today, but 30 resistance is 243,000 shares. 243,000. ETH also making a nice little move right here. That's great for Hoodie and BMNR. Hood 120.6, BMNR 32.37. Now we got to see if SoFi can hold this. Can we hold this? Are we at 94,000 on Bitcoin? Are we? Oh, we're close. Wow, we get to 93,960. Close. Yeah, Steve's going to be happy today. QXO, my goodness, 16%. By the way, Steve loves you guys because he went to AC over the weekend. He's like, dude, I feel bad. I'm not streaming on Saturday. It's like, Steve, it's okay. It's one day. He's like, no, I feel bad. I got to get back at it. He's like, he felt like his work ethic was like slowing down because he took a Saturday off. It's like, dude, this guy loves it. He loves this game. Some people love it, dude. Some people genuinely love it. Because I remember, because we were talking about it, and I was like, trying to tell him, like, dude, you can't let one day get to you. Because like I was in that same grind in 21, where it was like 3 videos a day, multiple streams a day. I'm still in the grind, but it was a different type of hunger in 2021 when like no one knew who you were. And so I can understand his fear of just like taking a day off and missing it. But it's also like one day is okay, especially allows you to reset. But he loves you guys. He'll probably be back later today. Iren's up 9, ASML's up 5. SoFi breaking above 29. Wow. Very encouraging. Very, very encouraging right here. Steve went from not wanting a channel to being obsessed. Yeah, he told me he would never do YouTube, and now he loves it. And I was like, dude, just try it. Like, see what happens. And he freaking loves it. All right, so Hoodie gets 129. We hit 124 before we fell back to 115 last year, which was 2 weeks ago. So if we can break 124, I think that's a key level for Hood to hold. Obviously, crypto holding up would help that. ETH at 3,200 is nice. Big Bear still down 4. Hims is down 2. Rocket Lab's giving back some of the gains. Palantir holding 4. And then, I mean, if we can get a breakout to 100K on Bitcoin, I know I'm asking for a lot here, but that would really help Hood. I mean, that's probably 130 on Hood, or at least high 120s easily. But that one's got to make a move. And then Zeta holding on to a 10% move, 2176. Nvidia dumping, are we? Nvidia, well, it's not red yet, but it definitely lost some move. Amid whoever that is that cuts his losses at 10% must be a fellow disciple of William O'Neill, founder of IBD. He's the GOAT. Yeah, I mean, the thing about what he said sounded like a very intrinsic principle to the concept of portfolio management, which is like you just will not hold a bag, you will not be emotional about it. So it makes sense that it is similar to what some of the greats have done. But I also think it logically makes you feel less inclined to be attached to your stocks, and it forces you to pick the right ones. Like the best thing about actively managing portfolio is like, if you will not take an L, if you will tell yourself, I will not hold a bag, you will force yourself to do as much research as possible before making a position. Otherwise, you can't take random positions, because then you're gonna have to randomly shut them out when they go against you. And everything eventually goes against people, but the goal is to have so much conviction that it's hard to let it easily shake you off. Tesla right there, 455. That's up 4. Zeta, I'll check resistance at 22, but it looks like she wants to get there. 5,000 shares. Not a lot of shares at resistance for Zeta. Shopify still up 5, and then Tessie still up 4. What are your thoughts on Netflix? I still think at 34 times earnings, 39 times earnings, it's not really like a deal. Like at 130, it was just trading at 50 times earnings, and that definitely wasn't a deal. So, and I think Warner Brothers is bullish. I think if you buy it here 5 years from now, you're probably happy. But I think for 2026, I don't know. Like, forget the volatility of the transaction going through. It's just like, this is not like a massive discount, I feel. Stock price wise, it is. Multiple wise, why should I pay 40 times for Netflix? Like last year was seen as the recessionary play. I don't know what the narrative is here that makes it exciting. But obviously long term, I think it's going to be fine. Hood is showing me 5,000. Thinkorswim is showing 20,000. Yeah, again, it's not perfect showing some of these levels. But Hood is showing me 5,054 shares at 22. Not a massive, massive amount. Yeah, 5,700 shares. Not a big move there. But you can pay 400 times for Palantir. Again, I say this every time. Just because you own a name that has a crazy multiple doesn't mean that every name deserves a crazy multiple. Also, again, bought Palantir years ago. There is a difference. We didn't buy Palantir when it was trading at high multiples. Again, have I bought at these levels? Yes, but that's also adding to a position that you bought from years ago. A net new position at Netflix where your entry is at 40 times earnings. I don't know. To me, it's just not compelling. I think it'll do well. It's just not. I feel like there's probably some better opportunities there. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Can we play F, Marry, Kill with SoFi, Amazon, Ethereum? It's actually a good question. That's actually a good question. Oh, you're obviously marrying Amazon. I mean, like, I feel like no one can say they're not marrying Amazon there. Like, you're absolutely going to marry Amazon. I mean, you kind of have to. And then the others, I think you just, whatever one you want to go back and forth with, you go back and forth. But it's hard to deny Mrs. Amazon. Okay, let's get a little bit more coverage on some of this Venezuela stuff. And then we'll keep going from there.
9 when Chavista came in, and look at what they've done. I mean, as you showed with the economics statistics, I mean, they've destroyed the country.
Yeah, it's very sad. So what about the move overall, the operation? What message did that send, do you think, to the world?
I think it was a very positive and powerful message. Here was a guy who was engaged in illicit activity. This was a criminal organization, masquerading as a government. He was indicted. The indictment, if you read the indictment, it's so darn compelling. This is not unprecedented, as some people were saying. It is very, very much analogous to Operation Just Cause in 1989 with Noriega. Another guy who was indicted, and another guy who was sitting on top of a criminal enterprise. A much smaller but strategically important country for reasons other than oil, because of the Panama Canal and so forth. And so I think I think it sends a very strong message also to those regimes that were supporting Venezuela, especially Russia, China, and Iran, and to those kind of far left progressive dictatorships that Venezuela was supporting, especially the Cuban and the Nicaraguan regime. So guess what, Sarah? Their cash flow is going to dry up. And so when the president's talking about the Cuban regime being very weak, he's right about that. Now, the sad part is these authoritarian regimes don't have to be that strong. They just need to be stronger than any organized opposition. So I think it's really important to try to isolate these authoritarian regimes from sources of strength and support. And the operation against Maduro is the first step in doing that as well.
Well, what happens now then? You make the analogy to Panama. We can all hope that would be the case. But as you point out, sir, far smaller country, kind of a different scenario in many ways. This is a country with 30 million people, obviously geographically very large. As you point out, an armed opposition still in there. So what do you think is going to actually have to happen to stabilize this and make it work?
Well, it's going to have to be, I think, a stronger form of intervention, I think what the administration doesn't want to do is, as you guys have been talking about, is just they don't want to put large numbers of troops on the ground. Remember the Panama invasion in a country that was 1/10 the size of Venezuelan population, 1/12 the size in landmass, took about 30,000 troops. The Dominican Republic operation in 1965, which also was a successful intervention, I think you could say, it was about 42,000 troops. So what the administration is trying is coercive diplomacy, an effort to try to convince the government to fire itself, and to reform itself in a fundamental way. I think the chances of that are kind of slim. It's because really what you have to do is you have to have a clear objective, which I think we can just clarify our objective a little bit more.
And again, those objectives are going to be debated a lot over the coming weeks, but the position of the United States is that this had to be done, especially from a law enforcement perspective. And it seems like that's why they carried it out. Ethereum right there, 32. Are we at 94? On Biddy, do we get there? No. Well, we're very close. 93.9. We're going to end out the close in the next 5 minutes. It would be really nice to see 94 before this close. It's kind of what geopolitical instability. Bitcoin hasn't been making a move on that stuff over the past 7 months, but this time it became different. And if this holds, then this was one of the catalysts that got it to happen. Hit 94 exactly on Binance. Well, it would be nice if we could break, dude. If we can get to 95 and then potentially that run to 100, we don't need 250. 100 would be nice. Just getting back there. We just got a lot of assets that would really benefit off that, including Robinhood, obviously MicroStrategy. And you would see a wave of Verscon momentum. Zeta right there, we got to 2188 on Zeta, 2174. Nike's up 3. Tesla is up 4. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Think that should be pretty much everything. Let's see if there's any final headlines. Again, Jensen will be live today. Going to be very important. We're going to see what Mr. Jensen can say, how that affects Nvidia. I think they're going to have to announce some new stuff, some stuff the market hasn't priced in. The question is, will they? But I'll be live today. I'll try to give the background on everything I see. Again, I'll be on IG. I'll be posting all the behind the scenes. Instagram is linked in the description or in the chat, so you can follow along. Bitcoin, did we hit 94? Robin just told me we hit 94. I don't see it on Webull. Robin just sent the notification, said we hit it. So it should be there soon. Besides Nvidia, what else are you going to check out at CES? Honestly, I don't know. I'm going to... Nvidia's the next 2 days. Then Wednesday through Friday, I have free. So I'm going to see what I can check out. But there's nothing on the table. Yeah. But hopefully it's just cool stuff. Hopefully it's just cool stuff. It should be fun. I've never been to a tech conference like this before. I'm just excited to see Jensen, bro. Like, seeing Jensen in person, that's like, it's Jensen. It's Mr. Jensen Huang. He's the reason for all this AI shit. Like, without him, none of this exists. None of it. Obviously, I'm oversimplifying it, but still, like, without Jensen, we don't have this revolution. So it'd be really cool to see him. All right, I think that's it. Again, Matt will be live for the close. I'll link his channel right here. So, I mean, he said he would be live for the close. So I think he will be. He'll probably be streaming the Nvidia as well, because that'll be during that time. And then I will have whatever behind the scenes I can get. I'll be tweeting about it. Lisa will be speaking a couple hours after Jensen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see that one, but she will be speaking after Jensen at a different convention center. And so hopefully AMD, Nvidia, they just announced a lot of good stuff. I mean, maybe they give some financial projections like Jensen did at GTC, and that could be substantial news that makes an impact on the stock. But this is risk on, baby. We're in risk on. Either it's a bull trap that is going to last a while, but it's a continuation of Friday. And if it keeps continuing, maybe it's not a trap. Maybe it's like catalysts coming together that created the environment that's healthy enough to get things to move. And Bitcoin and Ethereum leading the way is giving you a reason for why a lot of your high beta names are getting some love. It's just, I think we were also burned in November by high beta that you want to take it a little easy just in case this thing quickly reverses to the downside. It's just, you're not seeing that price action. I mean, SoFi 2920, that's a big move. 6% breaking above a key level. Iran's up 10%. I mean, this thing was at 31 a couple weeks ago, and that's at 46. The semis being carried by an ASML. And those are really nice moves to see on these levels. I mean, technically, I made my $500 back today. I didn't take a profit to get those $500 back, but technically, we're up a little bit more than 500 today. All right, cool. That is it. I'll be back tomorrow morning for the market open. Again, I'm in my Instagram era now, I guess. So if you want to follow the behind the scenes, you can follow the IG. Word of the day is a basic word, but it's a good word. It's basic, but it's good. Serendipitous, occurring by chance in a happier, beneficial way, especially when you weren't looking for it. What began as a random conversation turned serendipitous, leading to one of the best opportunities of the year. I think we all know this word, but it's a fun word around serendipity. So hopefully we experience some serendipity during the week. Excited to see people here. A bunch of guys reached out. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys throughout the entire conference. And we will keep going from there. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll have a lot of behind the scenes throughout the day. And we'll be back tomorrow for the market open. All right, everybody. Have a good one. See you guys tomorrow.